can't believe I'm following Richard. Oh my gosh. All right. So when I was a kid, I had many dreams. I dreamed I was going to grow up to be Batman. That didn't happen. But imagine me in tights. No. It's good I didn't. But I had many dreams. I thought I'd be an astronaut. I thought I might be a baseball player, professional baseball player. I thought I might be a police officer. And when I was 11, I said this to my friend, that I was going to be a police officer. I said to Benjamin, that's what I want to do. And he was 2 years older and a lot wiser. And he goes, why do you want to be a police officer? And I said, I want to shoot bad guys. And he said to me, they're going to shoot back, dude. You're going to die. And I hadn't thought of that. But those 70s TV shows, the cops never got shot, you know? So you know, I was at that cusp. I was 11 years old of dreams versus goals. And it wasn't long after that, I was at my next door neighbors, the Crothers, who were this retired couple that were like my grandparents. And we were about to watch the Phillies play the Cubs. And it was the pregame show. And they were talking about Wrigley Field. And I was watching. I had only been to the vet a couple times, but they were talking about the beautiful majesty of Wrigley Field and the scoreboard and how people would watch from across the street and the beautiful ivy on the walls and how at the time they only had day games. You know, there was no lights. And at 11 years old, I said to myself, all right, maybe I'm not going to be Batman or a cop. Someday I'm going to get to Wrigley Field. And I vowed it. I like anchored it in my mind at 11 years old. A lot went by, and baseball was not a consistent factor in my life. I drifted off. The MLB strikes pissed me off. You know, I started driving and drinking and hanging out with college friends, you know, going to movies and stuff, and baseball wasn't a part of my life. But I ended up having 2 boys, and in 2003, my boys were 10 and 11, the age I was when I was a big baseball fan. And my wife was going to take a trip with her mother, so I was going to stay home and have a staycation with the boys. But the boys, we started looking, and the Phillies weren't in town, and the Orioles weren't in town. And we started thinking maybe we should do a baseball road trip. And we looked it up, and all the stars aligned this week that I was going to be home with the boys, that we were going to, 5 days, if we wanted to go to 5 games in 5 days, this was the only itinerary we could do in the Northeast. Monday we would drive to Pittsburgh and see the Pirates play. Tuesday we would go to Toledo and see the Mudhens play. Wednesday we would go to Wrigley Field, see the Phillies play the Cubs in a night game. Then Thursday, watch the Phillies-Cubs play in a day game. And then Friday, go see the Indians play at Jacob Field. So I do it. I buy the tickets, buy the cheapest hotels I can, and me and my 2 boys go. And on Wednesday, we get up in Toledo, and we're driving to Chicago, and we're driving past South Bend, Indiana. And we pull in there, it's lunchtime, we're gonna get some lunch. We stop, we park, we're right by Touchdown Jesus, and I'm like, you know, explaining to the kids, and we had just seen Rudy, like, you know, over the winter before. And so we're standing there at the gates at, you know, Notre Dame's football field. And this athletic trainer comes walking by inside the gate. And he's like very nice. And he goes, where are you guys from? And we said, we're from Philly. He goes, oh, I went to Villanova. You guys want to come in? Right? And so we're standing at this gate, and he's like inviting us in. So he takes us down the tunnel, like just like that shot of Rudy. And we go down, and we're standing there, and we're right at the edge of the end zone. And he tells my boys, you guys, you can step on go ahead into the end zone and stand on the grass. And like, this stadium was just massive, incredible, and the sky was so blue in South Bend. And my kids step in the end zone, and after 10 seconds, he goes, that's enough, get off. Right? But it was just so awesome, and I was videotaping the whole week. And so within hours of this Rudy experience, we're outside Wrigley Field. We check into the hotel, we get to Wrigley Field, we're there when the gates are going to open. We go in, and I've got the camcorder running, and we start going up the aisle, or up the tunnel to there. And we come out, and I see the Phillies are on the field practicing, and I see the ivy on the walls. There's Frank Sinatra playing on the loudspeakers. I burst into tears. I mean, not just a tear fell from my eye. My chest was convulsing, and I was just crying like a baby. And I was so excited and my kids, of course, they're embarrassed. They're like, Dad, I mean, there's no crying in baseball, right? But I was so excited because, when I was 11, I said, someday I'm going to get to Wrigley Field and I'm going to make it happen. And I thought I might be as old as Mr. Crothers was, the retired gentleman, but I had no idea in that total interim of 60 years, I knew I would go there. But the fact that I ended up there, something I dreamed about when I was 11, and I ended up standing there between my two boys, and I felt like I was 11 years old for a split second. And I felt like a boy just like them. And I think when I go to heaven, I'm not a religious guy, but that's what heaven would be like. Thanks.